everyone, it's Mr. Chris here, and today we're going to be talking about tuning your guitar. Tuning your guitar is really important because if the strings are out of tune, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how good you're playing, it's not going to sound right, and that can be very frustrating. So we want to make sure that our guitar is in tune. Now, a funny thing that happens is when I teach guitar lessons in person, I will ask my student, hey, did you tune your guitar today? Well, I think I tuned it last Thursday, so it should be okay. That's kind of the answer that I get sometimes. You want to tune your guitar every day. Every time that you pick up your guitar to play, I think it's a good idea to tune it. For one thing, it's a good idea to, the more you practice tuning the guitar, the easier it will be to tune your guitar. And then it won't take as long and it won't be that big of a deal. But if you rarely tune your guitar, it's going to take you forever to ever really get good at tuning your guitar. So it's important to do it often. And also, you want to do it often because your guitar goes out of tune, even if you didn't do anything. That's a common mistake that a lot of my students make is they think, well, I haven't played my guitar since last Thursday, so it should still be in tune. And that's just not always the case. Weather can affect your guitar greatly. The wood and the metal in the guitar expands and contracts, the strings will stretch, and things will go out of tune even if you haven't done anything. If you just bump the guitar or you pick it up and move it around, put it in its case and take it somewhere else or take it in your car or something like that, it can go out of tune. But it can also just go out of tune just sitting there. So check your tuning often and you'll be happier for it, okay? So how do we get started? Well, first things first, we need to know the name to the strings. We need to know the name of all the strings on the guitar. So here they are. The top string right here is E. The next string is A. Then we have D. Then G. B. And then E. Okay? Now, here's some easy ways to remember it if you just think of a phrase that can stick in your head so that you can remember all of the names. So I like one that says, eat all day, get big easy. Eat all day, get big easy. That one's easy for me to remember because as much as I love pizza and ice cream and eating, whew, that one fits for me. Okay, you could also say, every amateur does get better eventually. Every amateur does get better eventually. All right, that's a good one, especially if you're just starting out. A very popular one that's been around for a long time, Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. All right, so any of those will get you where you want to go. Okay, so here we go. So the first thing we have on the guitar are these things down here called tuners. All right, there's one for each string. Now if I tighten the tuner, the pitch of the string goes up. If I loosen the tuner, the string goes down, the pitch goes down. Okay, so that's how that works. So how do we know whether it's in tune or not? Well, these days we have modern technology and a lot of people use these clip-on tuners, okay? And they come in different shapes and sizes, and I mean you can typically get one for between $10 and $20, and they all work pretty much the same way. So you clip it onto the end of your guitar and it picks up the vibration from the guitar and then it gives you an image of what's happening, okay? So what you'll see on the tuner is the note, the letter name of the note that you're trying to play. So let's say we're trying to pluck an E string, okay? Now in the case here, so what'll happen is it'll show up with a letter. Now if it's pretty close to being in tune, then the correct letter will show up. Like I'm plucking an E will show up. But there's a little dial or an arrow. If it's straight in the middle, and usually there's a green light or something that pops up, that means you're in tune. If it's to the left of the middle, that means the note is below the note that you want it to be, and you need to tighten the string to bring it up. If it says the right letter name, but the arrow is to the right, that means the note is a little bit too sharp or too high, and we need to bring that note back down by loosening the string some. Okay? Now, what can also happen is if your string is actually farther out of tune than that, so I might pluck the E string, like I'm plucking this one right now, and it's way out of tune. So let's see. Okay, here we go. So right now, it's saying D, okay, with a little pound sign next to it. Pound sign, number sign, hashtag, those are all look the same, right? In music, we call that symbol sharp. It's a sharp symbol, okay? So right now it's saying that I'm at D sharp, which is a note that is too low. Remember, the musical notes go in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I want to get to E, but if I'm at D, that means I'm below where I want to be. So I'm looking at my tuner, it says D sharp. So I know that I need to tighten until I see the letter E, okay? So now I'm at E, but I'm still a little bit below, so I'm going to slowly and gently come up until I get right in tune. Now, if my note is above where I want to be, this is important. It's best to go back down below the note a little bit and then bring it back up, okay? If you just loosen the note until it hits the one you want to be on, odds are it's going to slip or go out of tune right after that. So go below the note and bring it up to the note, okay? I'll do the high E string. So here I am. Let's go way down here. So now I'm at a D. That's way low. So I'm going to tighten that up. Now it says D sharp, which makes sense. And I'm going to keep going slowly until it starts to read letter E. And then I'm going to bring it all the way up. And there we go. I'm going to check all my strings. Top string E. So that one's still a little flat. We're going to tighten that up. A, D, G, B, E. And sometimes you may go through all the strings and then go back through them again, and you'll find that something went out of tune a little bit. If a bunch of your strings were kind of out of tune, when you start at one, by the time you get to the last one, you've actually changed the tension on the neck a little bit, and so you have to go back and readjust. It's kind of this fine balance that you have to keep going back and forth on, okay? Now, another way that you can tune is with a phone app. I've got one, and what I like about it is I can hit each string name and it'll play the sound of the string along with showing me the arrow and the green light. So I can actually hear if I'm close as well. And some people use a plug-in tuner. If they have an electric instrument, then they can plug it into a device. And some guitars, if you have built-in electronics on your acoustic guitar, you might have a tuner built in like this one does too. Now something else that you can do is you can tune by ear. Let me show you what that means. Back in the dark ages, before the internet, and before cell phones, before digital tuners, we had to tune our instruments by ear. This is how I learned when I was a little kid. So here's what we're going to do. We've got the top string E, okay? Now, if you're tuning by ear, you don't necessarily know if that's totally in tune or not. But we're just going to say that it's in tune for now, okay? And then we're going to tune the rest of the strings relative to that one, so that all the strings on this guitar will be in tune with each other. They may not be perfectly in tune with somebody else, but they're going to be in tune with each other. So if you're lacking your digital tuner or your phone, at least you can play your guitar, okay? And on your own, and it'll sound good. So I've got my open E string. I'm going to start there. Then I'm going to go to the 5th fret of that same string. I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to play that note. That note is an A. That's the same note as the next string is open. So I'm playing the top string, 5th fret, that's an A. And the next string, open, with no finger on it, is also an A. So you want to make those sound the same. You start with your top string, and we're going to assume it's in tune. So we're tuning the rest of the strings in relation to that string. So if I hit the string, and then the other string maybe sounds like this, then I'm going to turn it until they sound the same. Now if you find yourself going like this, okay, I know that's off, and I keep turning it, and it keeps getting worse, you're turning the wrong way, okay? So you need to go back the other way. Okay, so let's see, are we there yet? Pretty close. All right, now when I go to the 5th fret of the 2nd string, that's a D, which is the same as the next string open. And then when I go to the 5th fret of the D string, that's the same as the next string open, which is G. Now here's where things get a little bit weird. When I go to the 5th fret of the G string, that's a C, but the next string open is a B. So I have to scooch down to the 4th fret and play a B. And then I can go back to the 5th fret on the B string, and that gives me my high E. So okay, so and then when you're finished tuning, play a few chords and see if everything sounds pretty good, and then that'll give you a good idea if you are really in tune. So there are some different ways to tune your guitar, and that's the first thing you need to be able to do to get started. So if you want, click on over to my beginner guitar lesson number 1, and we can get started on your first chords and start playing guitar. All right, let's go. See you later.